War. War never changes.
Fallout New Vegas. What a game. I love it. There is so much to enjoy and appreciate about this game. It is so well designed. The developers treated their audience as adults, and so we received a mature, really well written story. They rewarded us for exploration and gave us plenty of options to specialise our characters. Man, this game just ticks so many boxes for me. There are already many excellent videos on YouTube which examine the story, the quests, the background lore, the game mechanics, and even the cut content of this game. There's so much out there, so what can I add? This video will focus on the game's performance and graphics and how they've improved on the different Xbox consoles over the years since the game was released. I've already done similar videos to Fallout 3 and of Skyrim, both of which improved quite dramatically from their original release. But how did Fallout New Vegas fare in comparison? How did the performance and graphics of this game on Xbox improve since it came out 13 years ago? I'll show you some performance testing I carried out in New Vegas running on 4 different consoles, and then some side-by-side graphics comparisons. For this video, I'll also include my must-say mClassic, which is a hardware solution. It's designed to improve the graphics in older games, and I can show you the impact it has on Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas was released in October 2010 for the PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, which is a full 24 months after the release of Fallout 3. Unlike Fallout 3, which was an internal Bethesda product, New Vegas was actually developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Bethesda. New Vegas was initially planned as an expansion to Fallout 3, but early in its development it was obvious that New Vegas could become its own game, and so it did. Famously, New Vegas was made in only 18 months. Some story points for the game were carried over from an earlier attempt to make Fallout 3 when it was with Black Isle Studios, and the game engine itself was the same as that used in Fallout 3, which is probably not surprising since it was initially planned as an expansion. Some tweaks to the game engine were made, including providing us with our God-given right to look down the sights of our goddamn rifles. Thank you very much, Fallout 3. And work was also done to increase the view distance to ensure that you could actually see key landmarks on the horizon, which I personally found to be a really good way to orient yourself and make you feel a bit more immersed in the game. Fun fact, the events in New Vegas take place 4 years after the events of Fallout 3, but 6 years before Fallout 4. When released in 2010, New Vegas ran on the Xbox 360 at a native 720p resolution and up to 30 frames a second, which is the same as Fallout 3 and actually the same as Skyrim on Xbox 360. Reviews at the time of release regularly commented on the poor NPC AI, clipping issues with the environment, and low frame rate. Although it has to be said, such criticisms are common with the Fallout series and the Elder Scrolls series. On the 360, New Vegas was patched 4 times, the last patch coming out about 10 months after the game was released. 4 story add-ons were released for New Vegas. You might notice here that the final DLC was released only 2 months before Skyrim came out in November 2011. I think Skyrim was very likely a big reason why Obsidian Entertainment had so little time to get this game out the door. Bethesda just didn't want 2 of its own IPs competing with each other on the market, and from a business point of view that does make sense. In 2012, Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition was released, which packaged up a patched version of the game and all DLC. Here's a fun fact, Doc Mitchell and General Tullius in Skyrim are voiced by the same actor, Michael Hogan.
I'm Doc Mitchell. Welcome to Goodsprings.
You started this war, plunged Skyrim into chaos, and now the Empire is going to put you down.
Michael Hogan played Colonel Sultai in Battlestar Galactica in the mid-2000s. So, in one game he's trying to patch up your head, and in the other he's trying to remove it. I kind of like that symmetry.
Carry on.
Yes, General Tullius.
Fallout New Vegas is also playable on the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, the Xbox Series S, and the Xbox Series X. However, no update or remake of New Vegas was ever made. The original 360 version is the only version playable on the newer consoles. The actual Xbox 360 game code is used when running New Vegas in backwards compatibility mode on the newer consoles. If you own New Vegas on disc, then you can use the disc to play New Vegas on the newer consoles. Though Xbox will actually download the entire game from the Microsoft servers, it won't install anything off the disc, though you do still need the disc in the drive so the console knows you own a copy of the game. Like Fallout 3 and 4, New Vegas is available on Xbox Game Pass, which is perhaps not surprising, I guess, as Bethesda and now Obsidian, for that matter, are now both owned by Microsoft. I'll start by showing you how well New Vegas performed on each of the 4 consoles I have on hand. Here's a still of the analysis. Frame rates here with a graph at the bottom, centered on the actual time. Screen tearing's indicated on the left with purple lines. You can see upcoming frame rate drops, and you can also see frame timing issues. So, here is frame rate measurements of the Xbox 360. Most of the performance testing I did during the final conflict at Hoover Dam. It was a complex battle, and there's a lot of new enemies spawning in during the fight. It was quite intensive. You can see that the Xbox 360 struggles to hit 30 frames per second in this complex fight at Hoover Dam. It drops frames due to graphical load, and it seems at times new assets and areas being loaded into memory can have an effect. So, in summary, not unlocked 30 frames a second on the Xbox 360. You can see from this footage that the Xbox One, it does its best to maintain 30 frames a second in this complex endgame fight at Hoover Dam. It does drop frame rates, but not as low or as frequently as the 360 did. Onto the Xbox One X then. The Xbox One X is the bigger, more powerful brother of the Xbox One. Fallout New Vegas plays very well on it, taking advantage of the extra power the One X has under the hood. Note the One X keeps frame rates at 30 frames a second for almost the entire duration of this complex combat, which is an improved performance over the base Xbox One and the 360. That's really what you want to see, that is great performance. As I don't own an Xbox Series S, we'll get straight to the Series X, and here's where it gets most interesting. Both Xbox Series consoles have an awesome feature called FPS Boost. FPS Boost allows many, but not all, 360 and Xbox One games to run at a higher frame rate. The good news is that FPS Boost is available for Fallout New Vegas, so its targeted frame rate now increases from 30 to 60 frames per second and works really well. Here is New Vegas running on my Series X at 60 frames a second. It is not a locked 60 frames a second in this complex fight, but for the majority of a New Vegas playthrough, it will be 60. A lot of the dips here are when I'm using my Pip-Boy or it seems during asset loading. And I have to say, I find the improvement in frame rate quite noticeable when playing, though to be honest, it's not a revolution in gaming, but I do notice the difference. You may have noticed from the performance videos that the 360 has screen tearing, but all other consoles do not. This is because all later consoles have VSync enabled for backwards compatible titles, which eliminates screen tearing. When the 360 is under load, it just thinks screw it and starts showing the new frame as soon as it's ready, even if the old frame is still being drawn on the screen, hence screen tearing. VSync stops this behaviour and assures a frame has been fully drawn onto the screen before drawing the next one. Interestingly, although the newer consoles did not have screen tearing, they all did show some frame timing issues. This is a sign of a console under heavy load. These spikes and dips in the frame timing graph come about when a console is so busy it has not been able to prepare the next frame to show, and so instead just shows the existing frame again. Frame timing issues are a sign that a console is working hard to run the game and can, at its worst, be noticeable and distracting. Though I found the frame timing issues for New Vegas not as obvious or annoying as 360's frame tearing issues. So on to graphics. Microsoft's Xbox backwards compatibility program significantly improved the graphics and performance of some games, with Fallout 3 being one of the better examples, as seen here. And here is a comparison of Fallout New Vegas on its release console versus the very latest Xbox console. Here's another example. Here's a third example. Okay, so here's the truth. Graphically, New Vegas looks identical on the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, and the Xbox Series X. It is identical. Honestly, the only difference is the randomness of grass placement. Textures, shadow resolution, asset pop-in, and overall draw distance was the same on all consoles. There is no noticeable text filtering on the Series X, which was a feature implied would be supported by the new consoles. One of the reasons why Fallout 3 looks so much better when run on the Xbox One X is because it received an Xbox One X enhanced patch, but unfortunately Fallout New Vegas did not. This patch provided improved graphics when played on the Xbox One X console. And this is a real shame because it's obvious that the graphics improvements to Fallout 3 when using this enhanced patch was pretty impressive, and it is evidence that the Gamebryo engine used to make both games responded well to Microsoft's patching methods, which makes it all the more disappointing that New Vegas missed out, as it likely would have improved things significantly. And it's also sad to read that Microsoft's backwards compatibility program has now come to an end, so I can't see there ever being a Fallout New Vegas patch in the future. Correction. The Xbox Series S does support the FPS boost feature though. Just a quick word on mods and the PC. So this video is about New Vegas as released on consoles and the impact Microsoft's backwards compatibility program had on the game. I quickly made the point that though I do enjoy playing New Vegas on my PC, it did take me quite some time to get it stable and to look like this. If you would prefer to spend your limited spare time doing other things than wrestling with an older game and mods on your PC, yeah, I totally get that, which is one of the benefits of consoles. It just works. Sure, New Vegas on consoles does not look anywhere near as good as it can look on PC, and it doesn't have some of the added functionality that many of the PC mods have, but, and I'll read this straight from my script here, playing New Vegas on consoles does not come with the ball ache of modding a 13-year-old game. At least that's my experience. On to the mClassic. So I must say, mClassic is a kind of inline hardware dongle which you connect between your console's video out HDMI cable and your TV or monitor. It requires power via a simple USB cable. The mClassic is designed to provide upscaling and texture filtering of older games. The mClassic does provide some smoothing of edges. There's more that can be said of how effective this device works, but today all I'll do is describe my setup and show you the results. The best setup for New Vegas is to have your Xbox 360 or other console set to output at 720p, which is the game's native resolution, and have it connected to a monitor or TV that can generate a 1440p image. Not all televisions will output at 1440p. At 720p, the mClassic upscales the image to a 1440p image. I describe it as a noticeable improvement, not as big as an improvement as Fallout 3 got with the Xbox One X enhanced patch. It also seems to be more noticeable on moving scenes I noticed than the still shots that I made. Although I captured this footage as lossless, I am not sure the impact of the mClassic will be that visible once the footage has gone through my video editor and YouTube's compression, especially if you're watching this on your phone, as about half of you do, apparently. Let me know if you can see the difference. So there we have it. Fallout New Vegas on the Xbox consoles has definitely improved performance on the later consoles, but the graphics haven't changed at all, which is a shame because it is such a good game. I love it. I think there's many fans out there of the game. It's good to know that it's still playable and still accessible, but it's a shame that it does still look like a game made in 2010. Alright, that's it. That's all I've got for you now. I think I'll turn my gaze to Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion next, as I've had a few requests for that. That's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like if you like this video. Please subscribe if you're keen to see more, because there will be more. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers. Ramnexus out.